telling someone they're just fat and that's the cause of all their problems is not very helpful. Hi, are you ready to learn a little bit more about lipedema? Well, I found a video that was just published 14th of August 2024. You can find it at Lipedema Surgical Solutions on YouTube. The title of the video is The Cause of Lipedema Dr. Wright Discusses. The reason why I am making a little summary of this particular video is because it's new and it's current. So lipedema is a study that is just ongoing. There's not a lot of research going on. There's not a huge amount of resources being put into discovering all about lipedema. It's very much driven by the community of practitioners who already are involved in lipedema and the clients who are involved because they have it. There are a lot of women, particularly women, in the world who have lipedema, probably at early stages, stage 1, maybe stage 2, and they're really just thinking that they're overweight, that they're suffering from obesity, even in its early stages. The reason why it's important to identify whether you have lipedema or you only have obesity is because putting on weight when you have lipedema tissue is 1,000 times more of a problem when it comes to taking it off your body. So if you have generalized adipose tissue, you have just eaten the wrong foods too often for too long, and you put yourself on a healthy, ancestrally appropriate diet that will help you come back into a more normal, healthy weight range. If you don't have lipedema, it will be used for fuel, it will be available to be used for fuel, and you will drop the weight. If you have lipedemic adipose tissue, your fat cells don't seem to be available, and you will be trying to do more and more drastic things to lose the body fat, and you will be bashing your head against a brick wall. I personally think that the 30% of women who will be suffering from lipedema, even if they are the ones who do not know about it, I think everyone should understand why they seem to be walking up a hill when other people are walking on a flat road. So this is so far what is being reported about the cause of lipedema. The punchline is, do you want me to give away the punchline? The punchline is the exact cause is not known, but we'll get there. First, let's go through what the video goes through. Lipedema is a progressive connective tissue disease that affects the hypodermis, which is subcutaneous adipose tissue, the fat tissue underneath your skin, of the extremities. Okay, so it is mostly of the extremities. It can be in a few other places also. Lipedema causes pain, tenderness, and swelling in affected areas at different levels in different people. Untreated lipedema can lead to lymphatic impairment and disability. Lipedema is not lymphedema. They are different. Lipedema can involve columning, which means you can see defined sections of fat tissue underneath the skin. like a column. Overhanging, because it's not just an expansion, but there's a heaviness to the tissue, which has no stability and attachment to the inside of the body. Cuffing at the ankles, so where it's bigger here and then it stops, and hands are normal. Same on the ankles and feet. Disproportionate distribution on thighs, arms, to the body, the trunk and the waist. This is a little confusing though, if a person is suffering from obesity as well, because the waist size will expand due to visceral fat. Okay, there are 4 possible causes currently as the research is talking about. So this is not the causes in terms of correlation. This is what the research is presenting. So, first one, hormone imbalances. Okay, so this is talking about this thing called aldoketoreductase gene deficiency, leading to an excess of progesterone. So this excess of progesterone happens in pregnancy to all but non-standard women. It causes an excess of fat and swelling in the body, and it also causes the loosening of connective tissue. So this happens in pregnancy to allow for the growth of the fetus and allow for room for the child to grow inside the woman's body. The hips need to be loosened so that they can come apart more. All of this happens usually in the lower part of the body. This happens in pregnancy. It also happens in lipedema. It's observed in pregnancy. It's observed in lipedemic patients. And it is a hormone imbalance due to a gene deficiency. Okay, the next possible cause is abnormal adipose cell biology, which is also to do with gene expression, and it changes the lipid and metabolic profiles to become aggressive in terms of the replication of stem cells, which can become either fat cells or fibrous cells, connective tissue. So somehow the genes are turned on to then increase abnormal amounts of growth. The third possible cause is loose connective tissue buildup of connective tissue, which puts pressure on the blood vessels. So there is some research going on regarding how the fibrotic tissue is surrounding blood vessels. It's not just empty tissue. Fibrotic tissue, which is scar tissue that is built up, it looks kind of like a multi-dimensional spider web where it's just threaded through, crisscrossing in all directions. And inside there are pockets of fat cells that are almost trapped in there. It's not really understood whether the fat cells were there first and then comes the fibrins, or whether the fibrins are there and the fat cells get trapped. Not quite sure. The fourth possible cause, according to the current science, is microvascular inflammation involving altered platelet genes. So you can see that there is research. It's not definitive. It's lipedema. It's not new, but it's newly focused on. There's historical evidence of it existing, but I think only in the last 100 years lipedema has been noticed by the modern medical profession only mildly. Women's health issues have not been paid a great deal of attention to thus far. But the medical profession is not actually that old. Modern science is not that old. So we can't blame it for not knowing everything yet. Okay, there are some complications listed. I'm sure there are more complications, but this is what's listed. Immobility. Disability due to restrictions in doing daily tasks. For example, stairs, chairs, cars, bathing. Basically, anything that requires physical activity is going to be disrupted by having some form of lipedema. You can, from having lipedema, you can cause yourself to have secondary lymphedema. It's not your fault, but having lipedema encourages you to have lymphedema, which is not the same thing. Lymphedema is to do with the lymphatic system, but because you have an impaired lymphatic system around the lipedemic tissue, the fat cells are surrounded by fluid. The fluid doesn't move around. It's kind of trapped in the web of all the fibrins. And there are also orthopedic changes due to hip, knee, and ankle changes. And this happens because, well, first of all, you're heavier, but you're heavier in strange places. And so your structural system of your body has to counterbalance the weight. And so the way that your physiology is designed to move, your movement, postural movement, is altered. The bad news is that the exact cause is not known, and that the current suspects of the causes can overlap. So diagnosis, really important, because the earlier you understand the truth of the matter, the more responsibility you can personally take on in managing the situation that your body is finding itself in. If you stick your head in the sand, so to speak, and you ignore it, you may very well find yourself gaining weight because you don't realize that it's going to be 100 times harder to get that weight off. If you knew, you might make different choices. And I think that's why it's really important to understand. It's really important that women, all women, not just women who have lipedema, but all women need to be on the side of all women. 30% of women are going to come across lipedema. That's 1 in 3 women. Don't you think that if you don't have lipedema, that others should know about lipedema, even just know that it exists, maybe a little bit about how to diagnose it, self-diagnose? The doctors don't know yet. They don't all know. If you don't know what lipedema is, or that it exists as a medical condition, how are you even going to know to look for a lipedema specialist? No, you're just going to suffer. You're going to think that there's something wrong with you. You're doing something wrong. What's the matter is that you don't know. You don't understand how to manage your physical environment. So that's what this series is really all about. It's to help women and men to understand what lipedema is, that it actually exists, that it is not the same condition as generalized obesity. Telling someone they're just fat and that's the cause of all their problems is not very helpful. Boy, have I heard that a lot in my life. So now that I know that I'm not just fat, I'm a little bit fat. I'm also a little bit lipidemic, which makes it really hard to get the fat off my body because some of it is trapped. So the first fat that will leave my body will be the available fats that I can use as fuel, and that I'm attending to quite aggressively now. I'm learning now how to manage the lipedema that I now know is on my body. And I may not know why it came about, but I can use myself as an experiment. And the one thing I know is I must take personal responsibility for not gaining fat weight. If I gain weight, muscle only. I must not gain fat weight because part of that fat weight will go into my lipidemic tissue and it will be so much harder to get it back out and available for fuel usage. Do you realize your potential? Are you stopping yourself short because you're judging your future on your past? Do you know the connections between the things that happened to you when you were young and the things that are happening to you now? Do you know how you've generalized certain individual situations and then based your life decisions on that? Come and find out, specific to your situation. No theory here, just practical, making your life work for you. And if you're getting quick, you can get it for $1 if you let me film you. And if you're getting quick, you can get it for $1 if you let me film you. And if you're getting quick, you can get it for $1 if you let me film you. So, hope you enjoy coming on the journey. I've got 2 more videos that I have watched and taken notes, and they are wonderful stories from wonderful women. And I'm looking forward to telling you their stories in a shortened form and then you going and watching the long form because you're inspired. So come and join me. Let's learn about lipedema. Let's make it a topic of conversation and let's help people feel better about themselves. Because like I was just telling my friend down at the cafe, it isn't what you do or what you have in life that you're going to be remembered for. No one's going to remember what you did or what you said, but they're sure going to remember how you made them feel. So, how about we make people feel safe in their own bodies? How about we make people feel safe in the world, safe in their communities, safe and secure? And maybe they can find a little bit more happiness in their life because they feel safe. This is Joanna, One Curious Carnivore, signing out.